And welcome to the NWEA MAP Spring Update. Uh, I'm Deb Wragge, one of the staff developers here at ESU 8, and I have with me today
Step Wanick, also staff developer.
and we're going to be taking you through the highlights of the NWEA spring meeting that was held at the end of February at the Lifelong Learning Center to make sure that you're aware of all of the exciting changes that are taking place within NWEA. The topics that we'll be discussing today is that we'll talk a little bit about the NWEA technology update and how that actually affects us, whether we're client-based or web-based. We're going to talk about and share with you that there are some new curriculum partners that have signed on with NWEA to help us with tools for differentiation and those kinds of things. We want to talk to you and make you aware of the annual NWEA conference, which is called Fusion. And Fusion is always held in Portland, Oregon, which is, you know, and I know is the home of NWEA. We'll give you an update on the Nebraska Certified Training Program. We're going to be talking a little bit about the NSS RS Custom Reports that are available for districts. And then we're going to talk at the end of this presentation about the ESU 8 Consortium and the ordering of student seats for the 2014-15 testing year. So let's move right on. As you can see by the slide here, that there was some good, the bad, and the ugly, but fortunately there was some beautiful in what happened. We're going to start with client-server based map right now. Everything went really fairly good. You know, what I didn't realize until I was to that meeting is that that original server base is that of the from the early 2000s when MAP started growing and growing and growing. Right now, they are able to archive your previous term data, and it's located in your NTE folder. And the NTE folder can be found in the administration side of your access to the client server tools that are available. One of the things that they want to remind you about is to make sure that that class roster file is submitted at least 2 weeks prior to the testing. And also they want you to submit your special programs file. Right here, and then later when we talk about that special report for the NSS RS, if your district chooses to use that NSS RS special report, they ask that you submit your class roster file using their unique Nebraska ID numbers so that that matches up and that can upload appropriately onto the NSS RS. They're real excited about the fact that they didn't have any major glitches this year with computers on the client server side freezing up and major problems like we experienced a year ago in the fall particularly, and that most of their calls actually were how do I do this and how do I do that. So that was really exciting for them. I want to remind you that iPad was implemented this fall, that's the fall of 2013, for the MAP test that's given grades 3 through 12. Notice that it's not available yet for the MPG, the MAP's primary grades assessment. Say, I just happened to think about that. Kelly, I know that you're out there, and if you have any questions, feel free to type them down into the chat area, okay? Now, if you'll notice also on this, Chromebooks are available and they will work as well with that. That's not an issue. Okay. Now, the web-based map is a different story. They had kind of an ugly start this year. Things didn't go really well on that for the districts. Fortunately, in the ESU 8 area, the majority of our schools are still using the client-based version of this particular assessment. We do have less than a handful of districts that are web-based. Now, what I was shared, or what Steph and Heidi and I were shared about on that, is that our districts didn't have as much problem as what other states or other districts had across the nation. So we're real glad to hear that. So to assure that there's still going to be a smooth testing for this spring, these are the three things that they did. One of the biggest things they did is they partnered with Cisco and asked Cisco to really look at their infrastructure and determine what additional servers or bandwidth or any type of backups that they actually needed. So what Cisco did is they tested those configurations and they strengthened anything that they felt wasn't going to be working. And then they had this work that Cisco did for NWEA actually confirmed with a third-party experts. In other words, they wanted to really make sure that it was going to work well for them. They have expanded their hardware and their systems so much more in that if we're testing, they found that when they looked more closely at the testing times, we tend to be testing between 9 and 11:30 in the morning. That tends to be the heaviest time of the testing. And what they've actually done is strengthened that opportunity there. But if something would go wrong, why it allows, it goes over to another server that takes over some of that load. So we're not going to have those breaks in our testing sessions with our students. So we're real excited about that as well. The map web map update website is right here, and as you are fully aware, this whole webcast is being recorded right now, and you will have access to these PowerPoints as well as the actual explanation that Steph and I are giving to you today. And it's not new to us, but in as early as last fall, you know, at this particular website, they offered us hour-by-hour updates on the technical systems of NWEA, and particularly in relation to the web-based. And they actually posted those alerts in real time. And another thing that they hadn't done in the past, which often was frustrating for us, is that they didn't alert us when they were going to do any technical updates or any technical strengthenings. So if you and your, if you're listening and you are the assessment coordinator for MAP, one of the best places to look and to keep an eye on before you test, while you test, is this particular website. Another point that was made by Susan Clausen, who led this particular session, is that she shared with us that there are Proctor Basics for web-based maps. In other words, if you have people that are proctoring assessments, they should be watching those webinars in order to know what are the proper procedures and protocols that are allowed at that particular time. Also, that there is a map readiness checklist. In other words, are we ready to rock and roll as we're ready to start, so that we don't have any interruptions into the assessment session. Now, these are just the big ideas about the list for technology on the district side when you're participating with web-based. And I know that there are many of the ESU districts who are anticipating, because they put their name on the waiting list with Susan, to become web-based. You need to check the white list that's right there. If you have slowness or white screens or inability to click on various buttons, you need to be able to access that particular website there, because it will tell you whether it's the machine that you're working with, maybe your bandwidth that you have that's available within your particular building or system, or whether it's an NWEA server issue for that. They also want you to double check that you're using the latest version of the lockdown browser. Now, right now, and for spring testing, notice that the last version was released on the 28th of August. it's not compatible unless you have that August 28th release. You need to check the internet usage during your testing hours. Remember, I talked to you about the bandwidth. That is a huge issue. Many times we find that the issues of taking the assessment in a timely and uninterrupted way actually fall onto the side of how much bandwidth is available. And those types of issues can be addressed in many ways. Number one, it would be to purchase a larger bandwidth, but another way that you could do that would be that during testing, you would limit the amount of internet access other classes might have or teachers might have for class projects. But you want to make sure you have the correct amount of bandwidth and you will have far less issues. Look at these. This talks about the browsers. They want you to use either Chrome or Safari. They do not want you to use Internet Explorer for this particular assessment. Most districts who are PC based, Internet Explorer is the browser that they tend to have their students prefer to use, that or Chrome. So Chrome on the PC base or the Mac base computers will work real well. Safari, of course, is a Mac application, so you can have that. Now, I was talking with Heidi Rethmeyer yesterday as we were preparing for this, and she shared with me that she has used Firefox and had no issues. But please make sure that you have a compatible browser. Above all, here we go again, use that Proctor's guide. You know, if students are stuck, don't panic. Use the guide, and usually there's just a few keystrokes that can assist you with your particular needs. As we begin to talk more and more, or make plans within our districts and in our ESU 8 consortium about transitioning from client-based into web-based map, one of the first things you need to do is get your name on the waiting list with Susan Clausen. Now, here's her phone number, and here also is her email address. There was a time, well over a year ago, that once your name was on the wait list, usually you could expect between 6 months to a year for before you were put onto the web-based list. That is beginning to change. But if you're intending on being a web-based opportunity to test in next fall, get your name on the list right now so that everything is in place for you to be able to begin testing on the web-based platform. Again, here's system requirements, the quick reference link right there to make sure that your district meets all the technical requirements in order to move to web-based. As a part of this broadcast, I'm going to be asking a question in the Google form that I'm sending out to collect the number of seats for students. I'm going to ask, are you intending to put your name on the list to move from client-based to web-based? So make those considerations. Another question that frequently is asked is about the validity of the MAP scores. Now, here's some criteria that you can use to determine score validity. Now, this is something that can happen during the testing, that a proctor or administrator of the test could actually be watching from their screen. And one of those things is that they spent less than 30 minutes on that particular assessment. Another is that standard error of measurement. It's more than 4 points a suspect. And that standard error of measure is available through the proctor's screen that they can use in order to monitor the particular assessment. So, but remember that if there's more than 4 points, it's suspect. The percent correct for the test. You know, normally on the NWEA assessments, white students get between 45 to 55% correct. Now, when students get less than 45 to 40% correct, that should consider to be suspect. Match that up with that less than 30 minutes, and it is an issue. Now, these data are all on the comprehensive data file, also known as the data exporter schedule. So that would be something that, again, the proctor and the administrator would be able to see, so that you would know that. And that would allow you to invalidate that particular student's score and then have them retest. I mentioned to you in the opening that there are two new NWEA curriculum partners. Achieve 3000 is a partner with NWEA now. This is the website, and I'm not exactly sure, and I apologize for not going out and actually checking this, but I think this is a paid-for service to use Achieve 3000. And it's O'Neill has been using Achieve 3000 for the past couple years with their NWEA as a partner for the curriculum. They found it to be a little bit spendy, but I do want to encourage you to at least examine it and determine if it would be something your district might be interested in. The other one is ClassWorks by Curriculum Advantage Incorporated. Here's their website. ClassWorks, again, it again is a little bit of it's pay for use, but it's not near as expensive as what the Achieve 3000 is. Now, we continue to have the free web source partner of Khan Academy, and we also continue to have Hippocampus that's available to us, and which is free, and we also have available to us Kingsbury, which is a part of actually the research that's going on on the NWEA, and then the resources that they recommend. So those are three of those others.
Also, Susan Clausen shared with us, and I have used this program. It's called Study Island, and many schools in Kansas are having good success with this. Actually, Study Island will go into the MAPS reports and pull off skills that individual students need to work on, and so they each have a menu of skills lined up for them when they use Study Island, and I believe that they can access that at home too and practice skills.
Steph, does that correlate with the Descartes then too? Does it go in?
I'm not sure.
No,
I'm not
okay,
sure
we're
about
not
that.
sure.
Okay. I didn't use it in conjunction with MAPS, but Susan Clausen said schools in Kansas are having great success with that. So
Good.
I just thought, as a teacher, how nice to say, this student over here needs to work on these 3 skills, but this student over here needs these other skills, and to know that we could take them to the computer lab, work on those skills, and it's all differentiated for each student.
Good, very good. Thanks. Okay, moving on. This is the annual NWEA summer conference, and it's called Fusion, and it's held in Portland, Oregon. It's where individuals just like you and I, who are educators, share their successes and collaborate. It's a professional seminar where there are breakouts and keynote speakers. And what I found was really interesting. Misty Bear, who is the Special Education and Assessment Coordinator at Wayne Community Schools, attended this conference last year, and she shared with Heidi, Steph, and I that she was so excited that she came back so filled with ideas and energy about how to motivate students, what to look for in the reports that you look for, how to glean even deeper, and how to differentiate. That she was so excited about those particular things, that the fact that her superintendent is going to allow her to attend next year. So I want you to think about the opportunity in order to attend a Fusion conference. And I know it's something that our staff development department is really talking about attending in the future also. Not this summer, our calendars are full already, but we're thinking about it in the future. So here's the website for you also there if you want to go and look and see what is planned, what sessions are available. Oh, this is exciting, the Nebraska Certified Trainer Program. Currently, we have at ESU 8, we have 5 individuals who are becoming Nebraska Certified Trainers. Um, uh, Molly Ashoff, Jill Bates, and myself are currently certified in stepping stones to using data. And then the 3 of us, Molly, Jill, and myself, are also certified in climbing the data ladder. Currently, I am becoming certified in growth and goals, and in June, Steph and Heidi will begin their process of becoming certified in stepping stones to using data. So, and they're going to also be certified in climbing the data ladder and growth and goals as well. We're real excited to have that. There's a network of individuals, approximately 40 of us across the state, who are in this cohort of trainings, 3 trainings, and we're real excited about what we're learning. The format for this training is that we take an online course, an interactive blended type course, and then for 6 weeks. And then when we're done with that 6 weeks, and then we do a 2-day back-to-back face-to-face training in order to complete our training. So what that means to you as districts out there is that we are able to come out and assist you with any issues, take phone calls, do those kinds of things. We'll come out and we'll do trainings for you. Also, we are going to be offering for those individuals new to your district or new to NWEA, we will be offering stepping stones to using data and climbing the data ladder initial trainings in the fall. And we'll be offering also a growth and goals. So we're really excited about what we're going to be able to offer to you and how we're going to be able to further support the districts of ESU 8. This is that NSS RS Custom Report that's going to be available through NWEA. You know we have to report our norm reference testing of our students in our NSS RS. This is where NWEA has stepped up to the plate, and they have shared or will offer to us that if we use the student state ID on the map assessment rosters for this spring, they are able to create 2 different formats for us, Excel or spreadsheet, for us to be able to upload NRT data to the NSSRS. Notice though that the cost is $150 per district. So if you're interested in your district in having this service from NWEA, the link for the Nebraska Custom Order Form is available to you there. And then the instructions are to email that form to Susan Clausen. So it's entirely a choice up to the district as to whether or not they accept or take this, reject it, or even take this service at a later time. Okay, let's get to the last item on our agenda for today. The ESU 8 consortium of districts, we're going to be having sending out a new Google form for to order the number of seats that we need, that districts need in order, and so on. We did this last year with a Google form, and I've done some refining on it this year to make it just a little bit easier for all of you to understand. On that form, I'm going to be asking you naturally for who the NWEA contact is at your district and their email address. Then we're going to ask for the annual number of student seats that you need for the MAP grades 3 through 12 for the survey and goals, which actually is the reading, mathematics, language arts assessment. So number of student seats you need for there. And those student seats are continue to be $12.50 a piece, just for your information. And that includes all 3 testing windows or any additional testing that you need to do with the student for the whole year of 2014-15. Then in addition, you can order the MAP grade 3 through 12 science. That is an additional $6 charge, and you can assess any grade or grade groups or grade bands that you possibly want to at that particular time. You just will need to, on the form, let me know what grade band you're going to grade bands or grades you're going to be assessing. So that takes care of MAP. And to look at the NPG for grades K through 2, we have a few districts in ESU 8 who are assessing with the NPG. On this particular form, you'll need to indicate how many students grade kindergarten through 2. Now, as you notice down below all of this information, I'm going to be sending that Google form out tomorrow, and the closing date for that will be April 4th, just to make sure that we have all of our bases covered rather. I'm going to be sending those out to the district contacts that I currently have in my database, and I'm going to be sending them to the building principals so that we can make sure that all the correct people have that information and get that back into us.
Deb, what if numbers fluctuate by the beginning of the year? How accurate does your number have to be there?
Oh, it's not a big issue because we come back in the fall and we can adjust those numbers without any. If you can give us your, I'm going to call it your best guess within 2 to 3 students now, and I realize that students come in or go. There's not an issue with that because all you have to do is contact us here at the ESU, and then we contact Susan, and Susan makes sure that the proper number of seats are there and that you're not billed for too few or too many, and that everyone, you get the information that you desire. That's a good question, Steph. As I just told Steph, ESU 8, then we order the student seats for the all the tests that are ordered. Then we, in turn, NWEA bills us at ESU 8, and then we divide that up among the districts, and we then collect the district payment, and ESU 8 pays. That's how our consortium works, so that we can work anything. There's another thing that's happened. I just happened to think about this. Sometimes a district orders just the math, reading, and the language usage, and they determine at a later date within the year that they want to add some science testing into that. You can add science testing at any time throughout the year. So all you have to do is notify us here at the unit. We notify Susan as to how many seats you want to have opened up for you, and we get that taken care of. We did that with 2 districts this year, and it was just within less than 24 hours, maybe 36 hours, we had everything in order and they were ready to start testing.
And that's just science, not K2.
Well, if you're going to do K2, that will work for that also.
Okay.
That'll work for also. Okay. All right. Well, we've come to the end of our time together. We've covered quite a few of the business matters of NWEA for next year, of that meeting that held. I just want to share with you that there were some very informative afternoon sessions, which we have intentions of sharing that information with you too. There's some pretty exciting things that are going on in NWEA right now, and we want to make sure that you have the information about them and the access for them. One of the big things is there's some really exciting things that are going to be happening with the Descartes is what we'd like to really share. And some other things about ACT and college readiness, college and career readiness. So again, I'm Deb Wragge, and I thank you for being with us this afternoon for this overview of the NWEA MAP Spring meeting.
And thanks for joining us. Good luck map testing this spring.